Hey parents, welcome back to the video. This week we have someone very interesting, someone that is in the education division, but not for the type of education that normal people think about. She is the doctor, she is the person that fixes problems when everything has ended. Meaning to say, when your child has finished school, when your child has finished university, and now it's the stage where they're going to go into the career world, the world where your child is going to take that set of skills and give back to community and earn a proper living. The only problem is, not every person that has a proper degree, great experience, can get a job. And most of the time it's because they are lacking of a certain set of life skills, they are lacking a certain set of confidence, the abilities, the inter and outer personal skills. And worst of all, they could get all the best grades, but no one appreciates them to even hire them. And this person is the person that is responsible, that has helped thousands of students being able to cross that bridge to get connected with high-level companies, to get their dream jobs, to get the pay that they deserve, and to get experience for them to be able to do good and take care of themselves. So it's with great pleasure I introduce to this week's person sharing with us in the video. Please welcome Zhi Ee. Zhi Ee is from Monster, and she might be small, but she is a monster at heart. Amazing person. She takes amazing students that are about to finish university and help them bridge their way into the corporate world, allowing them to show their best foot forward to get the best chance to work in the best firms. Am I right?
Yes.
Now,
well done.
The reason why I brought Zhi Ee in is not because your children are going to go to work tomorrow or next week. It is the work that you put in right now, the energy, the effort, the time, the love, everything you're doing right now is to eventually help your child be able to take care of themselves, to find a proper career, proper job, to be able to fend and take care of themselves. But the problem is, we notice that there's a lot of issues where the amazing people can't get it all the time. So I'd like Zhi Ee to share a little bit about what are the common issues. Like, Zhi Ee, you've been working with so many parents, so many students, so many companies. What do you think, right, is the biggest problems that come out where students that are amazing, they cannot get the job that they want? What is the thing that happens? What's the thing that is missing here?
I think one key issue right now that the market is actually recognizing a talent is actually through a piece of paper. Yeah.
Paper qualifications.
Yes. Because we've been spending our time and years and really study, putting a lot of money and effort just for that piece of paper, and then we are recognized. You know, when we look for a job, when we talk to an employer, they actually measure a person's ability and the talent based on a piece of paper. And what are the things that we have beyond the paper? So these are the things I think is something missing, and that's the missing part that we are feeling in.
So in other words, once upon a time when you have a diploma, degree, master, or even PhD, that will get you into the door. But in today's world, the paper qualification is just to allow you to have the opportunity to apply. So there's also a set of skills that is missing. Now, Zhi Ee, before we go into that deeply, right, could you share a little bit with the people out there? It's like, how on earth did you get so passionate about doing what you're doing? Because you yourself I would consider knowing you before that you're been a very upbeat, very empowered, very capable young lady, and you could have just chosen to go into the career and the point of being headhunted by the biggest company in the world, but you chose not to join them, but to actually take your set of skills and to help young people get into the industry. What's your story?
I think I was one of them before, because I was very lost, and I'm very fear and afraid of what's coming for the future. So when that's the time that I seek for help, I tried different things, and then but everything I do, right, I still couldn't find what I really want in life, and that's when I slowly step out from my comfort zone to explore different kind of experience, and that is when I realized having a clear direction in my future is when you have build your experience, because experience leads you to your direction, and experience leads you to your passions. So to me, I think it's a personal story that I always believe that, you know, experience is what leads us to what we want in our life. And then from a person that has very low self-confidence, I couldn't even speak English when I was 17. And then I have to really work as a waitress in TGIF to learn about English. And slowly from there, I enrolled myself to diploma, and then my CGPA was very, very low. I couldn't get into really a good grade, and I have to have my internship volunteering just to build my experience, because my my study was very bad, so I need to rely on my practical to get in a good grade. So of course that's when I slowly realized that why am I defining by a piece of paper? And I tried to look for a job actually, but nobody wanted to hire me. And I tried to apply for certain competition. I couldn't get it, and I don't get it. So I'm lucky enough, when I was during my degree, I actually got a chance to represent Malaysia to compete in Washington DC for an entrepreneurial competition. And I'm very, very proud, because only 5 Asians was representing Malaysia to DC. And the thing is, I was studying in my degree, I have to skip 2 weeks class.
Oh wow.
To attend the competition there.
Wow, for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And that is my final assignment that I need to submit.
Yeah, usually people will say do nothing except then your exams.
Yes.
But you chose to go to Washington to compete.
Correct.
What happened next?
Okay, so when I come back to my hometown, I got actually scolded. Why am I skipping 2 weeks class? And then I was telling because I'm joining competition, but the lecturer was very, very disrespectful and not happy. Why am I doing this? And nobody actually noticed what I've done, and I represent Malaysia. All this is bullshit to them, because they want to see your homework and then your good rate. So that was, I was very upset, and I was telling myself, oh, that's all. I want to stop my study, because it's really my final assignment, and I'm gonna submit it and then just proceed my life. So that's when I got me thinking, if I'm the one, I do so many things, and why am I not be recognized? And I feel really, that's when I feel my confidence, I got demotivated.
I see.
And I said, I hope that I want to do something about it. So that's when I leave my study, I graduated, and I started working for a previous startup, and after that now I actually built my own business for 4 years, and I have built my confidence level is better, and then I'm able to speak in English, and it's not just English is no longer
an issue
for me anymore, and nobody actually know that I'm from a very Chinese background. And that's something I find very, very interesting, and I hope that as a lot more young people out there are given a chance to unleash their potential within.
From what I'm hearing is you didn't go through life easy, and not everything was working out for you during this process. But the thing that I commonly hear in your story is the reality that you never give up. And no matter whoever challenged you, you found a way to just persevere. And you're quite unique, because even though you had a few shortcomings, like language is an issue, opportunity is an issue, you never took no as an answer, and you just went out there. You went to work part-time to get experience. You went and submitted yourself into competitions just to get yourself exposure. Why do you think exposure and experience is so much more important than the paper degrees? Because a lot of people are pursuing the paper document, but not the experience. But why are you going the other way around? What makes that more important than the paper degree?
I think for me, paper degree is where you gain your knowledge. But having knowledge, if without action, right, that's just an idea. So to me, in order to make things work and get things done, action play a very important role. And that's when I think practical experience play a very, very big role in making your theoretical paperwork happen.
Actually, that's very true, because parents, if you guys realize, your kids are learning the things that they need to learn to supposedly work in the real world.
Correct.
They are learning the theories and points, but the problem is, right, what they learn in textbook and what is utilized in real life doesn't necessarily connect the dots just like that. Correct. You need to actually put into experience, you have to put into play, you have to practice them. Even like yourself, you have learned English in school, but you can't use it. That's the difference. Because a lot of students, they are focusing on learning to score an exam, but not use it. And that's a very big sin when it comes to education. Education is not just a matter of learning something to pass an exam. It means it's useless.
Correct.
But if you're educating yourself to get that knowledge, to use it, to improve yourself, that's a very different ballgame.
Yes.
And that's the difference between a lot of students today. A lot of parents are putting a lot of energy, effort, and love into helping their child in education.
Correct.
But they are blindsided with the idea that just by helping the child get the knowledge to pass the exam, their job is done. But that's actually the worst thing to do.
Yes.
Because if you were to focus on helping your child get educated, for them to use that knowledge to improve themselves, just like yourself and the people that you help, they're able to take that knowledge and grow with it and run with it. It's like, imagine teaching your child to ride a bicycle. You give them the theory to ride the bicycle. And when it comes to a time where they need to ride the bicycle to save their life, they will die.
Right.
Because all they know is the idea of it, but not actually apply it. But if you really want to set it for your child, you actually give them the chance to practice riding bicycle. Now, before we were recording, I was asking you about like what was the biggest problem and that parents are not doing for their kids that they need to do more. And you mentioned something very special, the big F word, which is to allow the children to
fail.
Exactly, fail. Now, this is a word that is very taboo in Asia. Parents don't like to hear their kids failing. But you know what? From my personal experience, to have someone fail is one of the best gift a parent can give their child.
Correct.
Two things you can give your child. Number one, give them the opportunity to live, to be alive. You gave them choice to be alive. The second thing is give them the chance to fail.
Yes.
Because when you give a child the chance to fail, you give them the opportunity to deal with failure and to step up and to grow. Now, why do you think it's so important to fail right now as a student that it will impact them when they look for a job later on?
Because I think it comes back, maybe I can share a little bit about how my mom treated me.
Yes, please.
Because I was in students and I already started a startup. And of course, as a student, when you started a startup, I'm from Penang and I need to travel to KL on and off. And then I actually need to sustain myself. I need to make money, right? So normally when you're a student, you can get your money from your mom. But the thing is, my mom chose not to give me. And I need to figure out myself to survive.
So your mom actually know that you're doing this, know that you need money, and she chose to say, I will not give it to you. What was her reason for that?
Because it's your life. You if I were to give you, you wouldn't know how do you live without me, without mom. So that's why she chose not to provide me any financial support. But one thing that she provided me is she gave me a lot of mental support.
Right, gave you love, give you support, being there to be your mom, but it's not financially there. In other words, she wants you to realize that as an adult, you need to be responsible for your life. Alright, so what happened after she didn't give you anything? Then how do you survive? Do you think that helped you or sabotage you?
At first, I was complaining, and even my aunt complained because I will go to my aunt's house to say, hey, tonight I'm gonna have dinner with you because I don't have money to buy my dinner. So they even complain to mom, why are you doing it to your kids? So for me, at the beginning, you will complain. You see your friends, having good meal, and you're looking at your wallet and you say, I'm gonna eat economy rice. So I think after that experience, I grow a lot and I know exactly how to manage my money now. So I need to figure out my way to make money. So I do whatever it takes because I'm hungry.
I see.
So it makes me feel hungry towards anything that I want in my life. So I will go beyond my comfort zone and go beyond what I can do. So I will do extra. So that is when I think because of this attitude, I get a lot of support, and then it helps in terms of building my network, building my experience, my knowledge, and eventually when I start building my business, I have all these people supporting me back because I will be giving a lot, and because I'm hungry enough. So I think because I'm very, very thankful to have my mom that allowed me to be hungry. I'm hungry for opportunity, and I will go extra in whatever things I do.
Would you think that you would be where you are today if your mom were to choose to be softer to you, if your mom chose to just give you money?
I think I'll be a very dependent person.
You'll be a very different person, isn't it?
Very dependent.
So in other words, parents, this is something that is very scary to hear, but sometimes doing what is right is more important than doing what is nice.
Yes.
Sometimes there's the wise saying that says, spoil the child, you spoil them for life. You spare the rod, spoil the child. Alright, sorry for that. But that's the reality. It's not because you want to hurt the person, it's not you want to hurt your child. It's you need the child to learn about life and responsibility. And this is something that you don't just give them through textbooks. On our side, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about Turbocharge Learning is because when we teach the child the ability to learn, it doesn't mean they should always score A. It's the skill that they have for them to take action to score the A. And to score the A, it doesn't mean they memorize everything. They have to think, they have to solve problems, and they have to face challenges.
Yeah.
In part of the process, they actually have to deal with how they can think of solving problems in their exam paper. It's part of the process. And the reason why we do that is because if they can solve problems on a paper by challenging and thinking and being resourceful, that same set of skills they will use in real life. And we want them to have that skill to develop and nurture. And that's why it's so important, parents, for you to also realize that sometimes doing what is right for your child is even more important than doing what is comfortable. Doing what is important. Maybe sometimes giving them the chance to fail. That's a very powerful word, fail. Because when a child fails, because everyone will fail, there's a guarantee that will happen. You will either die and you will fail. It's a guaranteed thing. And when you do fail, the question is, right, will they have the resourcefulness, being able to do what it takes to step back up again? Because one day, parents, one day you will not be alive to take care of them. You will not be there to be able to help them when they need your help. And if you're going to continue pampering them, you're only going to be sabotaging that even more. And parents, a lot of parents are a bit shocked that I would say something like this, but I have to say because that's the right thing to do. If parents, you're going to baby and pamper your child too much, you are the reason why your children will be a failure in the future. A lot of times, I believe Zhi Ee shared stories where there are a lot of young people that want to be successful, they want to go into the working world, but they're not hungry enough. Why? Because everything they ever wanted is given by the parents, to the point that they were not able to fight for what is theirs because they were not hungry. Like you mentioned, hunger is not there. And when a person is not hungry, they won't be fighting for it like they can fight for it.
Yes.
So if, for example, could you share, because you talk to so many corporate people, right? And even though they want to hire people, what do you think is the number one or number two things that they notice is lacking in the students or those people that they're hiring that makes them decide not to hire them?
Ownership and initiative.
Ownership and initiative. What do you mean by ownership and initiative?
Taking charge of a particular task or mission, they will hope that you are giving them instruction to do things accordingly, because that's how education teaches. You know, you just follow this document, these notes, follow it and just memorize it, and then that's it, you will score. And definitely you will score. But the thing is that education leads us to, when we come to real world, you couldn't apply, because a lot of situation when it comes to working, you need to figure out solution yourself. There's no solution right away. You need to really take the ownership, go find the answer, and then solve the problem.
Correct.
So the first one is ownership.
Ownership is a very powerful thing, because just now you mentioned about like they are supposed to find ways to solve things. Now, it talks about the reality of the education of the 20th century. 20th century is where people are educated to be smart enough to do factory work. Meaning to say they're smart enough to do the work but dumb enough to not think about how to do better. So in other words, they are supposed to be factory workers. And the problem is, in today's working world, people do not want factory workers. People want someone that can think and solve problems, because if it's something that is standardized, they can get a robot or a computer to fix the problem. They don't need your children to do the work. So the difference is, right, how do you help someone that to help their children be able to become someone that can think, to be someone that can actually take initiative? What would you think is a good advice that, because that's what you do, you run trainings, you run special boot camps, right, to help students build this realization, to build this muscle in their brain so that they become more attractive to companies. But sometimes, rather than you do all the work now, what is it that parents can do right now back at home, right, to help the ball rolling, to get the children to start thinking about solving problems rather than wait to be spoon-fed?
I think parents has to really allow your kids to go outside your classroom to do something else than just study in your classroom, because there's a lot opportunity out there beyond the classroom. For example, attending events, volunteering for some programs, and even join some activities. Please allow them to do that, because if you restrict them, say, hey, you know, after study, please come home and eat, and you know, stay at home is safe here, then you want to protect them, that to in a safe environment, they wouldn't know what they do not know. And that is why it's very important to allow your kids to go outside their comfort zone, their classroom, to explore opportunity beyond.
That's actually powerful. So in other words, it's like giving the children the permission to go out.
Yeah.
Parents, it's also for you. Give yourself permission to allow your child to actually go out. Because sometimes we, as parents, we are worried about their well-being, the dangers that are out there. But overprotecting them, keeping them in the bubble will only harm them long-term, more than anything else. So in other words, we need to give them the opportunity to grow up. And what about the second part? Because you talk about one part is like their initiative, they don't think. The second thing is ownership, right? Could you talk about also first one is ownership,
Second is
initiative. Now talk about initiative. What is it that you mean by initiative?
I think the word right now is when you have questions and when you have problem, you just keep it.
Yes. Okay.
You are afraid that because I do not know this thing, I do not want to ask this question. That's what Asian culture like, right? We are afraid to question because if I question, I might get questioned back. So I think having the initiative to ask questions, having the initiative to even do something that might not be in your scope, but you think that particular action would help solve a problem, you should actually take the initiative to even suggest solution to your team. I think it's very, very important. So when I say initiative, other than taking action, it's also initiative to actually lead, to actually take the lead to do something different and work towards the goal, not towards the particular task given only.
I see. So in other words, what I'm hearing is this all boils down to the context of taking action, doing what is right, and then moving forward. All these things looks like the stem of all this is the individual's confidence and self-esteem. If that person doesn't have that confidence and self-esteem, they won't even pursue, won't even try, won't even think of doing that. But how can someone right now start building on the person's confidence so that when the time arises, when there's an opportunity, they'll grab it? What is it that they can do right now to be comfortable to develop this confidence? What would you recommend?
I think in order to build your confidence, we always believe in 3 areas. You know, 3 areas. We believe in really focus in your personal growth. Personal growth, your mental, your health, your physical, or personal. It's all under personal growth. Second one is professional growth. Your future career, your knowledge towards the market. It's very, very important. And lastly is financial. So when you are financial independent and then free, and if you have all these 3 balance, I think eventually you will have the confidence to do things. And one more thing is we would not be straight away wanted. You know, a lot of young people, they always believe that they always wanted to be successful fast.
They want the shortcut.
Yes, they want
straight away. It's like now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, it takes time.
Yeah, of course.
You can be fast, but you don't rush. So I think 1% progress every day. 365 days is really 365%. And then taking a little step every day to measure your 3 areas. Eventually, you'll get there someday. So like what I'm doing right now is like, you know, making sure every day you do not need to have 1 hour gym. You just need to have 20 minutes exercise. Then you will build up the habit.
The progression.
And progression, yes. So I think it's very, very important to really strengthen your personal growth, your professional growth, and financial growth in order to be someone more.
So what I'm hearing right now is focusing on those 3 areas. It's not something that you lecture to the child. It's something that you practice. So as parents, if you want to help your child with this, you want to also be reflective on those 3 areas: your personal growth, your professionalism, and also on the part of your finances. And it's not just for you to take care of yourself to be better for you, but for you to be a role model to your children. Because their number 1 and most influential teacher is actually you parents. So how you develop yourself to grow yourself will influence your child to also want to grow themselves, rather than just do for what they are told. They do because it's what they need to do. To also improve their professionalism, to be able to do things with ethics and with quality. That is something that comes from us. When we do things like that, we involve them to also focus on those kind of standards. And financial knowledge. So many times we're teaching our kids to learn to get a job, but we've never taught them to do what's next. I got the job now, what do I do with the money? And a lot of times, a lot of students, when they go into the working world, yes, they might get good amount of salary, but that amount of salary will be burned off by the end of the month because all they know is to get the job but not manage it. So parents, show your child how you manage your money and how they can learn from that as well. Sometimes what we do as adults, we also make mistakes. But you know what? Failure is the best gift. Learn to appreciate the failure and learn from it. Show that in your children, because when your child can see that, hey, you know what, even mommy and daddy makes mistakes sometimes, but we can learn about it. Mommy and daddy is brave enough to actually admit the mistakes and improve from them.
Yeah.
Parents, when you do that for your kids, when you do that for yourself, you're helping them truly grow up and become successful.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's so important. And I'm so glad to be able to actually have this session with you, Zhi Ee, today.
Thank
because
you.
You're doing such an important job of helping so many students that they spend all their life to want to get a job, but they're missing out because of these simple, important life skills.
Correct.
And you're working so hard to help them get connected.
Correct.
You're
Correct.
making the bridge.
Correct.
So if you're a parent of a child that is now in the stage of being in a college or being in university, or they're about to finish and they're about to look for a job, and you're concerned about how they are able to actually get involved, or you want them to get the best chance to get the type of careers that they want, to get the pay that they deserve, and you definitely need to get in contact with Zhi Ee and Monster. So all the details, the websites and contact details will be in the link below. So feel free to go into the link and then get in contact with Zhi Ee and the team, because they are the right person to help your child go from finished education into the world. Now, if you have any questions that you would like to ask Zhi Ee and you would like Zhi Ee to share more about in the future videos maybe, please make sure you comment that below, and we will actually take those comments and then share with Zhi Ee and see if we can actually get her time, a little bit more of her time next time to do another set of videos.
Yes.
Yeah? Alright, so if you enjoyed what you learned today, make sure to share and like the video, and if you're not already subscribed, please feel free to subscribe to stay in touch with the next coming videos that we are coming up next. Alright, now till then, stay awesome and be happy. Remember, enjoy failure.
Yeah.
Alright, okay guys,
Failure is key.
Failure is key. Alright guys, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.